I would say if I was one of the Israeli team members, I would have been too afraid to continue. If I was one of their family members, I would have not wanted them to continue. But as an athlete, I would have been struggling with that fact.
Dating back to biblical times, the territory of present-day Israel was the subject of great debate. According to Scripture, a man named Abraham was the father of two boys, Ishmael and Isaac, from two different mothers. Palestinians and people of the Arab faith believe that Ishmael represented God's covenant. The Jews believe the covenant was fulfilled by Isaac. This rivalry gave birth to the Arab-Israeli conflict. The Roman general Titus conquered present-day Israel in 70 AD and sent Jews to the four corners of the world. Nothing got any better for the Jewish people during the 1930s, 1940s as Adolf Hitler and the Nazis executed over 6 million Jews. The 1936 Olympics in Berlin was considered by many as a propaganda tool for Hitler and the Nazis, showing that they were superior. Not until almost 1800 years later did Israel proclaim themselves as a free nation in 1948. Within 24 hours of declaring themselves free, they were at war with 7 nations. All of these groups of people agreed to assist Palestine in the attack. In 1967, Israel expanded its borders during the Six-Day War. The Palestinians sought land for themselves and believed something was needed to draw attention to their plight. The Munich Olympics were the first time that Israel would be able to really compete as a united nation, and it just so happened to be in Germany, the country where the Jews were persecuted and killed in concentration camps by the Nazis. The Palestinians thought this could be their opportunity to make a name for themselves. 11 days into the games,
Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay speaking to you live at this moment from ABC headquarters just outside the Olympic Village in Munich, West Germany. The peace of what have been called the Serene Olympics was shattered just before dawn this morning, about 5 o'clock, when Arab terrorists armed with submachine guns, faces blackened, a couple of them disguised as guards or as trash men in the Olympic Village, climbed the fence, went to the headquarters of the Israeli team, and immediately killed one man, Moshe Weinberg, a coach, 2 shots in the head, 1 in the stomach.
After holding the surviving Israeli prisoners for a few hours, the terrorists sent a spokesman to negotiate. The Palestinians demanded that 200 revolutionary prisoners be released. If they were not released by 12 o'clock noon, the remaining hostages would be killed. During the negotiations, a second hostage was killed trying to overpower the terrorists. Back in Jerusalem, the Israeli government determined that there would be no agreement with the terrorists. The Bavarian government, however, proposed that they give the terrorists an unlimited sum of money in exchange for the hostages. This would be the first attempt to bring peace to the Olympic Village. They declined the offer. The negotiators inside the Olympic Village attempted to get the deadline extended. This was a second effort to end the hostage situation and was rejected. Terrorists set a noon deadline for the release of the revolutionary prisoners, stating that 1 Israeli would be killed each hour the demands were not met. Just minutes before 12 o'clock, the terrorists pushed back the deadline to 5 p.m. The Olympic Committee stated that the games would continue. People felt it was a selfish move on the committee's part. They said that it was a weird sight seeing people going about their business and there was a hostage situation on the other side of the street. The German police decided that they would send a group of volunteer policemen disguised as athletes. This would be the last endeavor in trying to bring peace to Munich. During the live television coverage, terrorists were watching what the policemen were doing. The attack was called off because police thought it was a suicide mission. The hostage crisis ended at a military airport that evening. The Palestinian terrorists sensed a trap. They were right. An ill-conceived plan to rescue the hostages unfolded with gunshots and explosions.
The latest word we get from the airport is that, quote, all hell is broken loose out there, that there is still shooting going on, that there's a report of a burning helicopter.
And the worst words I ever heard in my ear was what he said, Jim, we've finally gotten clearance to put it on the air.
When I was a kid, my father used to say, our greatest hopes and our worst fears are seldom realized. Our worst fears have been realized tonight. They've now said that there were 11 hostages. 2 were killed in their rooms yesterday morning. 9 were killed at the airport tonight. They're all gone.
The committee had to make a big decision whether or not to continue with the Olympics or just completely stop them. In your opinion, what should have they done?
It's difficult. He was in such a tough position, and believe me, he would have gotten a ton of input from other people as well. I would say if I was one of the Israeli team members, I would have been too afraid to continue. If I was one of their family members, I would have not wanted them to continue. But as an athlete, I would have been struggling with that fact, because most Olympic athletes train for 4 to 8 years before they peak at the Olympics. So they put in 6 to 8 hours a day for at least 4 years to get there. And you have this one shot. And for most athletes, your peak time is very, very short. And so, you know, if you are, say, 24 in swimming, that's older. That's how old I was, and you're older, and so the next time it comes around, you're going to be too old. You won't be at your peak anymore. And so I think as an athlete, I probably would have wanted to carry on and compete and see how I could do. And also for the reason that you wouldn't want the terrorists to really win. You know, I would have felt like that was giving it to them, that they interrupted everything and disrupted everything, which is what they wanted to do.
Now, is there a lesson to be learned from this tragedy that happened in Munich?
The Olympic Games is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, international event in the world. And so definitely that security is always going to have to be a priority, whoever hosts it. And then also that, you know, unfortunately, as much as we don't want it, politics and terrorism and fears will always be a part of something like that, because it is so huge and it does bring together so many people throughout the world.